Okay, let's dive in. We're looking at a case that isn't just missing a few details. I mean, this is a perfect storm of contradictory evidence and just, frankly, incomprehensible behavior.
It really is.
We're talking about the Jamison family, Bobby, Sherilyn, and their 6-year-old daughter, Madison. They vanished in the Sandboy Mountains of Oklahoma back in 2009.
And this is, the ultimate paradox of a missing persons case. Our mission today is to try and sift through a situation where all the physical facts, the abandoned truck, that cash, the dog, they tell one story.
Right.
But the human element, the paranoia, the bizarre video, these claims of spiritual warfare, that suggest something completely different. And the problem for investigators, then and now, is that they've never been able to rule any of it out.
That's what makes it so chilling. So let's set the scene. It starts on October 8th, 2009. The family leaves their home in Eufaula, Oklahoma. They're supposedly heading out to look at a 40-acre plot of land near Red Oak. They wanted to buy it, get away from it all. They were looking for something really secluded.
And then 8 days go by. Nothing. Then this ominous discovery is made. Their pickup truck, just found, abandoned on a remote dirt road in Latimer County.
And the first detail that's just strange is that the truck was locked.
Exactly. It was locked. It was in perfect working order. It had fuel. So that immediately throws out the idea that it just broke down or something.
Right. This wasn't a car trouble situation. And what they found inside just made it even more confusing because it really tells you they were planning on coming right back.
What was inside that locked cab? I mean, it was everything. Wallets, IDs, their cell phones.
Their GPS even.
Yeah, the GPS, Sherilyn's purse. But the thing that really gets you, the most heartbreaking clue, was their dog, Maisie.
Still in the truck.
Still in the truck. She was, severely malnourished, but somehow she was alive. I mean, you just don't leave your dog in the car if you plan on being gone for any length of time. It suggests they thought it would be a very brief stop.
But then you have the one piece of evidence that just torpedoes that whole theory of a simple walk gone wrong.
The money.
The money. We know the Jamisons were having some financial difficulties, yet investigators find $32,000 in cash just hidden under the driver's seat.
Yeah, and we should be clear about that money. It wasn't necessarily like mysterious drug money out of nowhere. It's widely thought to be from a legal settlement they'd received.
Okay.
So the surprise isn't that they had it, it's that they had this huge amount of cash that they were clearly hiding and they just abandoned it, locked inside the truck. That $32,000 argues against almost every logical theory you can come up with.
Exactly. If they were robbed, why is the cash left? If it was a kidnapping for ransom, same question.
Right.
And if they just walked off and died from exposure, why on earth would you go through the trouble of hiding that much money, only to leave it 3 miles from where you collapse? It just doesn't track.
And then you have the items they did take with them. Surveillance footage shows Sherilyn putting a brown briefcase into the truck. That was never found.
Okay, so a briefcase is missing.
A briefcase and her .22 caliber pistol. That was also gone from the truck. So you have a potential weapon and a briefcase taken, but the single most valuable thing they owned, the cash, is deliberately locked away.
And the scene itself, around the truck, nothing. No signs of a struggle, no blood, no broken glass. So you're forced to accept one of two things. Either they were forced out by someone or they left on their own, thinking they'd be right back.
But this is where the timeline just snaps in half, because if the truck suggests a brief, unplanned walk, the surveillance video from their home just hours earlier, it shows the complete opposite.
We have to talk about that footage. It is genuinely one of the most unsettling things I've seen in a case like this.
It's chilling.
It shows Bobby and Sherilyn just loading the truck.
Yeah.
But they're doing it over and over, making dozens of trips back and forth from the house.
And they're not really talking to each other. Their movements have been described as trance-like or zombie-like. They just look completely dazed. It's this long, strange pattern of packing and unpacking with no clear purpose. It doesn't look like a family getting ready to go buy some land.
And this wasn't just a one-off bad morning. Neighbors said that in the days before they disappeared, both of them look shockingly gaunt and emaciated.
Yeah.
They were also telling people they felt like they were being watched, that they were being targeted by someone. A deep, deep paranoia was setting in.
And that paranoia, that internal mental state, it leads us straight into this whole spiritual warfare angle of the case.
Right. Bobby actually went to his pastor.
He did, and he claimed his house was haunted, violently haunted. He said he saw, I think it was 2 to 4 ghosts on his roof.
And he didn't ask the pastor for a prayer or an exorcism. He asked for special bullets.
Special bullets to shoot the spirits. So you combine the physical wasting away, the paranoia, and now a request for magical bullets. I mean, you can see the couple was at a serious breaking point.
And Sherilyn was right there with him in this. She'd bought a satanic Bible. Bobby claimed he was reading it to try and, fight back against whatever was in their house.
She was also looking into whether the house was built on a Native American burial ground. She left these notes all over the place, things like, "Get out, Satan."
There was even graffiti on a storage container they owned. It was this weird message about their pets being killed. It said, 3 cats killed to date by people in this area. Witches don't like their black cat killed. I mean, the world they were living in, whether it was real or in their heads, was just filled with terror.
And the very last image we have of them is a photo from a phone taken up on the mountain at 2:47 p.m. It's of little Madison. Some family members have said she looks unhappy in the picture, maybe distressed. It's the last known moment of her life.
And for 4 years, that's it. That's all anyone had. The truck, the cash, the video, the stories about ghosts. Huge searches. We're talking 400 volunteers, cadaver dogs, helicopters with thermal imaging. They found nothing.
The only flicker of a lead was that cadaver dogs kept hitting on a scent near a water tower, but no remains were ever found there. It was a total dead end.
Until November 2013. 4 years later, deer hunters are out in this really rugged, isolated part of the mountain.
And they find them, or what's left of them, the skeletal remains of 2 adults and 1 child, about 2.7 miles from where the truck was abandoned.
And it still took until July of 2014 to get a positive ID. It was them, Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison. But here's the absolute core failure of the case from a forensic standpoint.
The cause of death.
The cause of death is inconclusive because the decomposition, the exposure, animal activity, the medical examiner just couldn't say what happened to them.
And that inconclusive autopsy is why this mystery is still so debated. There was no clear bullet hole, no knife marks they could identify. There were some early reports from the hunters who found them. They claimed one skull, probably Bobby's, had a small hole in it, like from a gunshot.
But the police never ran with that.
No, it was later dropped as a firm line of inquiry. It couldn't be substantiated.
Now, something that's often cited, especially with the foul play theory, is the position of the bodies. There are these unverified reports that they were found lying side by side, face down.
Right, an execution-style arrangement is how people describe it. But again, it's so hard to square that with the official medical finding of 0 definitive trauma.
So because the forensics gave us nothing, we're just left with these 3 completely different theories. And the fact that all 3 are still on the table is what makes this case so unique.
It really is.
So let's start with the simplest one, misadventure, exposure. They went for a short walk, got lost, and died from the elements.
The pros for that are pretty straightforward. It's a remote, rough area. There was heavy rain right after they disappeared. And, leaving the dog and the phones behind does support the idea of a short trip gone wrong.
But the problems with that theory are huge. First, Bobby had chronic back pain. A 3-mile hike over that kind of terrain seems highly unlikely for him.
Very unlikely.
And why would all 3 of them die so close to a working vehicle? And the biggest question for me, if they died one by one, who arranged the bodies in that face-down position, if you believe those reports, it just doesn't feel like a simple accident.
Which pushes you straight into the darker theories, specifically murder-suicide or shared psychosis. The clinical term is folie à deux.
A madness for 2.
Exactly. And you have so much evidence pointing to that. The robotic behavior on the video, them being so gaunt, Sherilyn's known mental health issues, this intense shared paranoia, it all screams of a severe breakdown.
Plus, Sherilyn's handgun was missing. And they found this long, hateful letter she'd written to Bobby in the truck. So there was clear conflict right before they left.
But again, there are massive flaws. First, that missing gun was never found with the remains. And second, if your plan is to walk into the woods and end it all, why do you lock $32,000 into the truck before you go?
Right. Locking the cash up implies you think you're coming back for it. You're protecting it. It completely undermines the idea of a planned suicide pact.
It really does.
So that leaves us with foul play. And this is where that 32 grand becomes the motive. A drug deal gone wrong, a debt collection, a gang hit. Especially since that area is known for meth activity.
And their background had external threats. There were rumors about Bobby's estranged father, who had threatened them and supposedly had ties to the Mexican mafia.
I remember that, yeah.
There was also an incident with a white supremacist roommate that Sherilyn apparently chased off with a gun. And an anonymous tip even claims she was on a United White Knights hit list. So they had enemies. Real ones.
But for the last time, the physical evidence gets in the way. If you're there to rob them, why in the world do you leave $32,000 in cash behind? And if it's a planned execution, why wasn't the scene at the vehicle? And why couldn't the ME find any conclusive proof of it 4 years later?
It's the complete lack of elimination that just defines this case. The former sheriff, Beauchamp, he put it perfectly. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, normally in an investigation, you can eliminate scenarios one by one. We haven't been able to do that here. With this family, everything seems possible.
That quote is everything, because it tells you this case just breaks the normal rules of investigation. For you, listening, it's so rare to see a case where how the bodies are found is just as baffling as why they disappeared in the first place.
Even the current sheriff reportedly thinks he knows who did it, implying it was a drug murder, but he just doesn't have the hard evidence to prove it.
So if you pull back, what are we left with? A family that was clearly fleeing something, whether it was real or imagined, and they end up dead less than 3 miles from their starting point.
You've got the silent robotic video, the huge pile of cash left in a locked truck, the family dog left inside to starve, and then the skeletal remains of all three of them, just a short walk away.
You have to ask yourself, what's the hardest piece of evidence to explain? Is it the untouched $32,000, which argues against almost every theory except maybe psychosis?
Or is it the hours of bizarre, trance-like behavior on that video, which really argues against them being victims of some sudden external attack?
Which leaves us with this final, really provocative question. Was the Jamison family running from a real-world threat gangs, a hitman, and they got caught in the mountains? Or were they running from the demons of their own, making a shared psychosis that led them to walk into the wilderness and just never come out? The most chilling part is that the answer might just be locked away, unseen, inside their own fragmented minds.